So what does it really take to start and grow a civil or structural engineering firm? Well, in today's episode of the Civil Engineering CEO, I have with me Don Kline. Don is a licensed professional engineer and the president and founder of Kline Engineering and Consulting. And Don is going to share with us kind of his career, taking that leap to start his business and how he has been successful in growing it over the years. And you'll get some tips if you want to start your own business or you just want to excel in your career. All right, now I'd like to welcome our guest onto the show for today. Don Kline is a licensed professional engineer. He is the president and founder at Kline Engineering and Consulting, LLC. Don, welcome to the Civil Engineering CEO.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Don, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about kind of yourself and your company, where are you located, what type of services do you offer, how big are you about?
Sure. We're a full-service structural engineering firm. We have 3 locations. Our headquarters is in Northern Virginia, and then we have an office in Charlotte, North Carolina, and another office in Miami. And we really specialize in 3 different areas of structural engineering. First, we design new structures, primarily concrete, high-rise structures. Second, we get involved in evaluation and restoration of existing buildings and bridges. And the third area of focus for us is what I would just call construction engineering services. We have a lot of contractor clients, and they'll come to us with all sorts of things like formwork design, shoring designs, moving buildings, just about anything a contractor, you could think of a contractor would do where they need some engineering help, they'll call us. We're a relatively small company. We have about 25 people, and we've been in business for about 18 years now, and it's been an exciting ride. So,
talk to us about your motivation behind establishing and starting the firm back in 2007. How did that? What happened there?
I kind of followed a different path than a lot of structural engineers out there. I first started out in a consulting office for a couple of years, and actually that was in the middle of a downturn in the early 90s, and I got laid off. And so I found myself working for a supplier of post-tensioning materials, and it was a large international company, and we were involved in design and supply of materials and construction, and I spent 15 years there. And so I learned all about, the post-tensioning business from the ground up. And so I started out in structural engineering doing design. Then I ended up doing some work in operations, running field crews. And then I was involved in business development and sales. And then eventually I was running all of the East Coast operations for VSL. And so I really got a grounding in not just engineering, really they were a very strong company in engineering, but also in business, on the business side. And I always had this desire, I guess, to start my own thing, to have my own business. So I was sort of entrepreneurial from the early days. And I saw an opportunity to start my own business. And after being with this company for a long time, I just made the leap and had a lot of support from my wife, and we just made the transition and started out slow, but it's worked out well.
So Don, just digging in on that a little bit, because I'm also an engineer and an entrepreneur myself, and I'm interested to hear a little bit about how your engineering experience kind of coupled with your entrepreneurship skills together kind of helped you to develop the company. Because, listen, I think it's great that you took the leap and started the company, but I know what goes into building a business, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and I'm wondering how all your different skill sets and experiences helped you to continue to grow the company.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I received a lot of mentorship from people I worked with at this company at BSL, both on the technical side and on the business side. And I learned a lot. I mean, it was just a great place to learn how to run a business. And, in terms of everything in terms of not just the technical skills, but developing a company, developing a brand, developing the culture of the company, and getting everybody aligned with the business, with the mission, vision, core values, and all that. I learned a lot there, and they taught me a lot about that. And I think that's something that I've decided I wanted to instill in Kline Engineering. You can just start a consulting firm and just provide services to your clients, or you can think of it as a business, as a real, true, living business that needs to grow. And that's the way I'm looking at it. I look at it more as a business rather than as just a consulting firm.
Yeah, I like that approach a lot. I mean, I know for me as the CEO here at EMI, I think one of the things I do focus a lot on is the culture side of it, which you mentioned, because, we live in a world where it's a competitive market for talent and people have a lot of opportunities and options as to where they want to work. But to me, it's the culture that you build with your team that's going to kind of have people want to stay and grow with you and with your organization. So I definitely think that that's important. So in terms of getting your business off the ground, I know that there are probably a lot of engineers that are watching this because they're interested in maybe starting their own firm at one point. And I'm wondering if you could talk to us about maybe some of the challenges that you faced early on and how you dealt with those, if there's any that kind of come to mind for you.
Yeah, the early days were tough. Obviously, I just started out as a one-man office and then, worked out of the house initially, and then ended up hiring someone part-time and then ended up hiring somebody full-time. So really bootstrapped the company from the beginning. But I think the thing that was a little bit more challenging for me maybe than some others is that coming from the environment that I came from, which was the construction side of the business and supply side of the business, I didn't have a great network of architect clients. So I had a really great network of people out there, mainly for the contractors and engineers and people like that. But I didn't have a great network with architects, and so I didn't get a lot of work with architects. In fact, even today, we tend to get more work with developers and contractors than we do architects. And so I think that was a challenge for us at the beginning, but we were able to really, leverage the network that we had. We had a great network, like I said, with developers and owners and contractors. We were able to establish ourselves as thought leaders in our industry in post-tension concrete design and repair. And that just started to snowball, and eventually we did get work with architects, and today we do have some really great architect clients. So I would say that would be the biggest challenge that we had starting out.
It's trying to get out there, get your name out there, get business, and which again speaks to what we talk a lot about on this show and other shows that we publish is your network. Right? Building up that network, building a lot of relationships as you go through your career, because those are relationships that you'll lean on for various things, whether it's a job, it's a new business, new projects, bringing people into your organization. It's really your relationships and your network is really the lifeline of a lot of what you can accomplish in your career.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So, Don, if I were to ask your staff to describe your management style, how do you think they would respond to that question?
That's a good question. I think they would describe me as a really hard worker, entrepreneurial in the way I go about doing things, always looking for new opportunities, and kind of lead by example. So they see me working hard. They see me in here, task oriented, getting things done, and I think they would say that I lead by example. I also am pretty open to their ideas. So I have an open door policy. They can come in, talk to me about anything. And I acknowledge when they do well, when they're successful. I try to encourage them and be very, very thankful for the work they do and make sure they know that. I would say that's it. They know I'm very committed, very trustworthy as well.
That's great. I really like that point about being very open and, so people feel comfortable in coming to talk to you about issues, ideas, thoughts, challenges, exciting opportunities. I mean, I think having that kind of two-way street for people is really important. And I think that when you promote that and people utilize that, like to your last point there, they can kind of, that trust between you and the team members can really build. And I think that sometimes people can say, hey, it's the CEO. I don't want to bother them. They're busy. They're doing a lot of important things, which of course is true. But also at the same time, people are what are really important in every organization, and people need to feel comfortable and they need to feel like they have a good relationship with the leadership. And I love your point about just trying to lead by example. I think that's really important. I think that if you're going to ask people to show up every day and do the work, you should be willing to do the same thing. And I think that's a great way to lead an organization. So that's awesome. Yeah. So I know that you're a member of various professional organizations. I know you serve on technical committees, and I know that that's a big part of building thought leadership, as you described before. But talk about how someone as a leader and as you grow and as you have a lot of responsibilities, how you can balance these various initiatives with your job responsibilities, your technical associations. You have, obviously, people have personal responsibilities. How do you kind of decide on where to put your effort and your energy?
That's a great question. I found it to be so critical to be involved in the industry and be involved in industry associations. It's part of who we are, part of our culture, and one of our core principles is knowledge, and meaning we want to gain knowledge. We want to become the best we are in our craft and develop our skills through gaining knowledge, but we also want to give back knowledge as well, give it back to the industry. So it's one of our core values is knowledge, and so it's critical that we participate in industry organizations. I encourage all of our people to get involved in industry associations, go to meetings, go to dinner meetings, and just get involved. And it's a commitment. We have to be. If we're going to step up and join a committee on one of these associations, then you have to be involved. You have to be active. You have to participate. You have to volunteer to do work for free. And I don't know. You just have to spend time doing that. And it's a balance. But since I encourage that from the very top of the company, I think that people know that they have the people working for us know that they have the backing to join these organizations and spend time doing it. Now, that doesn't always mean doing it during business hours. Sometimes you're doing it at nights and weekends as well. But it's a commitment to not just the industry and gaining knowledge and giving back, but it's also for you. For the employee, it helps them to improve their skills, their knowledge, their know-how. And improves their network as well. I mean, it's so valuable being part of these organizations to increase your network and the relationships in the industry and that sort of thing. So it's just something that we really value, and as I said, it's part of our core values.
That's great, and I love how you have these clear core values that your team can get around to get excited about. And, having knowledge, obviously, in our industry is one of them, is great, a great staple in terms of especially the kind of work that you do. So let me ask you this question, Don. You had the ability to hire engineers. You've worked with engineers. You are an engineer. What would you say is either one or a few of the really important traits that you think engineers need to have to be successful in their careers today, based on everything that you've seen? Outside of technical, which we know is really a foundation for us.
When we are looking to recruit engineers, young engineers, we're looking for, obviously we're looking for the skill, but even more important to that, it's the personal attitude of the individual, the willingness to be open to learning new things. Not, we don't want people coming in who think they know everything. They have to be willing to know, to learn, and be adaptable. Adaptability is so critical in today's fast-moving environment. With AI, all the new technologies out there, you have to be adaptable. You have to be willing to learn new things. So I would say, being adaptable, but even more important than that is just having a great attitude. I don't know any other way of describing it other than we really focus on the attitude of the individual, because if they have the right attitude, then they will be able to really excel in our culture and the culture that we have here at Kline Engineering.
That's great. No, I really like that. I agree with that sentiment, and that if someone's willing to put the work in and they have a very positive attitude around that, a lot of stuff can be taught, right? But those are things you can't teach to people. They either kind of have them or they don't, or they take on that mindset or they don't. And so I've learned myself too, just in interviewing people and thinking about building the team here at EMI, that those are really things you need to think about and look for in people, because those attributes to me can be a game changer in terms of how successful someone could be. And I like what you said there too. It's about thinking about how people fit in with your culture that you've established, right? Because somebody could be a really great professional, quote unquote, but if they don't fit or align with your culture, they're not going to be able to be successful there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You have to, it's reminds me of a book I read, I think it was the E-Myth, and they said it's more important to hire for culture and for fit with the organization than it is to hire for skill. Because like you said, you can always teach the skills that you need. And we're very good at teaching. We have our own in-house training programs. We make our engineers, when they first arrive here, we give them hand calculations that they have to run through to design one-way and two-way pre-stressed concrete slabs, and so they really know it inside and out by the time they're finished with their training program.
That's great. Yeah, and I think that is something that is, E-Myth Revisited is a great book by Michael Gerber. Mm-hmm. It's especially for those of you that are interested in maybe starting your own business, it's really helpful. One of the kind of themes of the book that he says is, someone could be really good at making apple pies and go into the apple pie business, but it doesn't mean they're really good at building a business. So you have to be careful. You could be really good at engineering, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to build a business. So there's a lot of good strategies and tips in there, but absolutely hiring, the right type of person, the person that has that attitude, that has that work ethic are the kind of people that you can teach and you can develop. And which leads to another really important point that Don mentioned, which is getting really good at development and training within your organization, right? From onboarding someone the right way, getting them up to speed on, your culture and the way you do things. And then, just giving them the tools and the resources that they need to be able to kind of grow and flourish like under your culture, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. That's very important.
So, Don, there are a lot of advancements and a lot of trends in the civil structural engineering world. And you mentioned earlier the idea of thought leadership. We have things like AI that are now creating all big waves in the industry. How does a firm like yours stay up to date on trends and things of this nature, even while you're so busy doing the engineering work? What are some things that you do to try to stay up to date on technical trends, AI, et cetera?
Yeah, it's such a fast-moving environment. Not just the engineering world, but just business in general. And so it's so critical that we stay on the cutting edge of technologies, which means making sure we have the right software for our engineers to run engineering calculations. We always want to make sure we have the latest and greatest, and then also on the leading edge of other technologies that are out there. So how do we do that? Well, a couple of things. Like I said earlier, we really encourage all of our people to get involved in industry associations, and you learn so much. I just came back from 3 different conferences over the last month, and you end up even outside of the meetings, you're talking to people about what they're doing. You find out about latest trends. You learn about something new every day when you go to these things, and so that's one way to do it. And I encourage all of our people. We have other folks here who attend other organizations as well, like SEA. I'm very involved in my passion is post-tensioning and concrete, so I'm involved in ACI and PTI. But we have other folks here who are involved in other organizations like SEA, ASCE. And so they go to those organizations. They come back with new ideas, new information for us. We also have a very robust training program here that we encourage, obviously, continuing education, but also we have education reimbursement program. We encourage people to get certificates, and we reimburse for that. So through that acquisition of knowledge, we are learning, all the latest trends in the industry, in business and in engineering. And so I think between networking through our organizations, industry organizations, and the training programs we have here, that's the way we've gone about doing that.
That's great. And again, of course, that lines up really well with your culture of knowledge, right? Getting people out there and learning. And so basically people might go to training, you're learning, and then you would ask them or encourage them to come back and share with others?
Yes, we do. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention is we also encourage training, in-house training. So as you know, we're doing training through EMI, but we also have in-house training as well, where if somebody's going out and they've learned something new, we encourage them to develop a lunch and learn that they actually deliver to the company. So we'll do a lunch and learn. We invite external guests to come in and do lunch and learns, but we also really encourage our engineers to give lunch and learns when they've learned something new, so that they can teach everybody else in the company about what they've learned. And it's a great opportunity to learn something new, and also to have our engineers gain more confidence and be able to stand up and deliver a training like that. So it's so important. And it also wraps around that core value again of knowledge.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. So the last question I have for you, Don, is based on, there's other CEOs maybe watching this, maybe they're at different stages of their firm. What's just a final piece of advice that you can offer kind of fellow CEOs in the engineering industry that are trying to lead their firm successfully through today's kind of fast changing landscape? Any last pieces of advice that you would offer?
Yes. In the early days of Kline Engineering, it was all about just, getting business and staying alive and, make sure you meet payroll and that sort of thing. I would say over the last 5 years or so, I brought in a partner, Catherine, and she's really helped she's a true partner in the sense of, she's a great leader. She's also taking over a lot of the day-to-day operations here, and allowing me to focus more on, purpose and vision and a lot of business development as well. I do most of the business development here, although we have that spread out to other folks here. But I think after bringing her on, I was able to focus more on the business and growing the business. And one thing that's been a tremendous help to me is getting, I guess, I'm not sure how you train this, but it's basically surrounding myself with a group of individuals, business owners who I can bounce ideas off of and get feedback and even process issues with them, any kind of issue I have. And it's all on a confidential basis. It's a group that I belong to. There's also they call him the chairman of the group, but he's really a business coach. And so I have one-on-ones with him once a month for 2 hours, and then the whole group gets together for a full day once a month. And I can't tell you how important that is in helping us to grow over the last several years, because it's kind of as a CEO, it's kind of lonely because there's not too many people that really understand the problems and the things we're dealing with. So it's great to have that support group around you that you can ask questions, and you can be totally honest with them, and they can be totally honest with you, and sometimes brutally honest. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, so they can try to focus CEOs along the right path and help us to think critically about things. So I would say surround yourself with a group of people that can help you grow as a leader. And there's different ways of doing that. I have my way, but I'm sure there's other ways. You can probably develop a group of like a advisory board maybe for your company would be another way of doing it. But this is the way I've chosen to do it, and it's been great.
No, that's wonderful. I'm totally in agreement with that. I'm part of a mastermind group similar to that, other business owners, and then we have a great facilitator who runs it, and also have a business coach that I meet with every couple of weeks. And I would say the same thing, and that the ideas that they've given me over the years I wouldn't have thought of them on my own. And a lot of the ideas come because they've had similar experiences and they mess something up or they got something right or one way or the other, and they're willing to share with everybody else. And I think that that's really how people do grow. And I think the idea of kind of surrounding yourself with the right people, both internally, like you mentioned, bringing people on board that can help internally, and then externally, whether it's through coaching, your own development, are very important aspects of kind of, not just growing a company, but growing your own career. Even if you're just an individual listening to this and you're trying to grow your career as a civil structural engineer, it's really, really important. So great advice there. So once again, Don Kline, president and founder, Kline Engineering and Consulting. Don, you gave us a good amount of time today. We really appreciate your time, and I'm glad that you did this. I think our listeners are really going to enjoy it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Anthony.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Don. Starting and growing a civil or structural engineering firm or any engineering firm can be scary, but he's done it and he's done it successful. And I hope you can leverage some of his knowledge and wisdom to help you either grow your career or grow your firm. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to our channel here. We do put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.